Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I want to get into surviving a breakup. We all know that shit's never easy and it's never easy to talk about. It's never an easy task. I feel like heartbreaks are one of those super intimate, intense emotions that we have to go through as humans, and it's never easy, but we all end up going through it at some point in our lives. With every heartbreak, there's some kind of intensity and depth attached to that heartbreak. Listen, grieving is a part of healing in the process of surviving a heartbreak. But not letting it consume you is where some people end up falling in a pit. And trying to get yourself out of that pit is really hard if you allow yourself to fall into it deeper and deeper. Surviving a heartbreak while in the process of not losing yourself is one of the hardest tasks you have to accomplish while you're going through it. Because as humans, when we go through a heartbreak, we tend to want to isolate, which is fine, but how long are we talking here? Are you stopping your life because of the inconveniences and the situation itself? I honestly hope not, but I know it happens to the best of us. So we're going to get into how can we deal with a heartbreak. I just want us to do better, you know? First things first, you got to acknowledge that you're hurt and you're wounded and you're going through a pain. Men, even yourself, you should be acknowledging this. Acknowledge what has happened. It's okay to get in touch with your feelings. And I feel like a lot of society has put onto men that they are not allowed to show feelings, or they can't show how they feel, or if they cry. And it's such a shame because many women know that you men have feelings as well as we do. And I say this because I know a lot of men tend to act very nonchalant after a breakup, and they will downplay the whole situation. I'm not saying all men are like this, but some men do act this way. And because they acted this way, later on they end up feeling whatever they should have felt in the beginning. When it comes to heartbreaks, none of it is never easy. So if you need to cry your eyes out, do it. If you need to scream your lungs out, do it. If you feel like you need to drive in your car, hop in there, music loud, cry your eyes out, listen to sad songs, then do that too. Go through those emotions. I myself personally have done it. And let me tell you, it feels so damn good. And obviously, it's very triggering when you're listening to sad songs. But like I said, it feels good once you go through the motion and those emotions. Whatever you do, just don't disregard how you're feeling and the emotions that you're feeling, because they are valid. And I only say this from personal experience. When you try to avoid these emotions or this pain and these feelings, you end up delaying your healing process. And trust me, nobody wants to be delayed on healing themselves. It only messes you up in the end, honestly. And why do that just because you want to avoid these feelings? Honestly, doing this just makes it worse, because eventually these feelings end up coming back to light. At some point down the line, it ends up coming back. Take it from someone who's done this to herself. This shit is exhausting. It's mentally and emotionally draining and challenging. The next thing up is you need to spend some time alone. Not everyone might agree with this, but you need that time to spend with yourself. As much as you might hate it, you need to do it. And the reason why I say this is because the pain that you feel, you have to feel it. You have to go through the motion. Don't get me wrong. Eventually, I will mention hang out with friends or be busy. But at the moment when it initially happens, your heartbreak and your breakup, you need to spend time by yourself. You need to go through that motion of feeling this pain, essentially. Because the more you feel it, the less you end up feeling it. And because you did this, you end up healing in a more healthy way. Another big thing when surviving a breakup is not developing a bad or unhealthy coping mechanism. And what I mean by this is maybe turning to drugs or alcohol or things that are not your usual way of being. And yes, I am going to include binge eating, because we've all done that when we're sad or depressed. We can eat a whole tub of ice cream just by ourselves because we're in that state of mind. And developing unhealthy coping habits just end up hurting you in the long run. and you hurt yourself worse. So let's try to avoid that, people. An occasional glass of wine is fine, or going out with friends, having a few drinks is fine, but don't overindulge in something just because you're in a vulnerable state. When surviving a heartbreak, here's one thing that I see a lot of people do, and it is to jump into another relationship. Just don't do it at all. I recommend that you don't. Highly recommend it, actually. Because if you guessed it right. You're ending up in a rebound relationship. If you want to hear about rebound relationships, you can tune into my episode, I think it was 22, and I get into rebound relationships and all of that. So let's just say this, that rebound relationship is just giving you a little bit of distraction that you need to avoid those feelings that you're feeling from your ex. A good way to survive the heartbreak is just go to the gym, keep active, or some form of physical activity, to be honest. Because for me personally, you tend to feel some kind of validation during these workouts. And why not let some anger out at the gym and get fit while you're at it? 2 birds, 1 stone. I also think when surviving a heartbreak, mindfulness really comes in handy. In this, I mean, pay attention what's on your mind, what you're thinking, why are you thinking it, what you're feeling, what's happening around you, what is triggering you, and why it's triggering you. Just be mindful of yourself without judging yourself. So if you're listening to that song that reminds you of your ex, and there is pain associated with that, be mindful of it and think of why are you feeling that way? What got you there? What are the emotions that are being brought to light? Practice self-compassion when you're being mindful, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but during the pain of a heartbreak, we open these self-berating gates. And honestly, we're quite good at it. And what I mean by this is that we're so quick to say some shit to ourselves. Like, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I wasn't good enough, I was never his type. And vice versa. Same goes for men. Or the infamous, like, I'll never find someone better than my ex. Just try and avoid doing shit like this, because at the end of the day, it's our own personal attacks to ourselves because of our own insecurities. With that being said, I think another way to survive a heartbreak is analyzing yourself. And with analyzing yourself, I mean, see if you've projected any insecurities in your past relationships. And if you've ever have you ever gotten aggressive about it, possessive about it? Think about that stuff. Regardless, whatever the scenario is or is not, you have to sit there and analyze yourself and see what you need to work on as an individual. Because the last thing you need to do is bring that into another relationship that you get into. Along with everything that I've mentioned, I think forgiveness is definitely one of those things to surviving a heartbreak. That be your fault, their fault, it doesn't really matter. Just learn to forgive them in the process of healing. No matter whose fault it was of why that relationship ended. Because when you truly forgive someone, the pain becomes less and the burden becomes lighter. Another thing with forgiveness is to love yourself during this process of the heartbreak. Sometimes after a breakup and a heartache, we neglect ourselves and we're so hard on ourselves. And this all goes with being mindful of yourself. Because if you don't know how to love yourself, how the hell do you expect someone else to love you back? And honestly, that's one deep ass question, because not many people can sit there and be alone with themselves. Not many people can sit lonely like that. They always have to have someone sometimes. How many of you can just sit there in the mirror, butt ass naked, and be like, I love you, you're amazing, you look amazing, you're the shit? Not a lot of us can do that. So I think once you get over that hump of loving yourself and you know you love yourself, it makes a heartache so much easier. It makes it easier for you to move on. Self-love is definitely one of those big major factors in any survival of a heartbreak or a breakup or anything like that. It's one of the biggest things when healing. One thing's for sure, after you've done the alone time and you've processed, you've acknowledged all of that stuff, now I recommend you keep busy. Obviously, you're going to keep busy during this process of being alone and processing and all of that, but now keep busy. Now do the things that you once loved and enjoyed. Find a new hobby. Go to the gym, like I said. Go travel. Go be social with your friends again, because some people tend to fall down a rabbit hole and completely avoid everyone. Go try new restaurants, places to eat. Me personally, I have to say, when I went through my breakup with my ex, I left the country. I was like, you know what? I grieved for about like 2 months, really like cried it out, really sat there in my own. I really was with myself and my thoughts and really just processed. And after I did all of that, I tell you guys, I left out of the country. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I kept myself busy. And here and there, I would have the thought process of my past relationship, but nothing that I was down about or down in the slumps while on vacation. It was a great way to keep me active and my mind active and away from what was happening or what had happened at home with the past relationship. With that being said, go meet new people and spend more time with your support system. Because spending more time with your support system and talking about your feelings is an emotional venting mechanism. And it's totally healthy after any kind of heartbreak or any kind of breakup. And it's a very common thing that everyone does. And last but not least, when surviving a heartbreak, I recommend you lose all connections with your ex. Lose all the connections to the person that broke you. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but trust me, it is the only way to get it done. Because ultimately, I see it like this decision is yours. You have to choose you. You have to choose your new chapter in your life. And you get happier faster. Because I feel like when you keep these connections, somehow, some way, unconsciously in our little brains, we have some kind of hope that we hold on to, that maybe we can work it out. Maybe we can talk it out. Maybe I just need that closure. And the answer is, you don't. You don't, okay? So delete that number, unfriend them on the socials, and get rid of them, period. Just do what you have to do for your own mental sanity. Because the last thing you need is to be lurking on their socials, seeing who they've added since the breakup, and then you get all caught up in your feelings and it brings you right back to square one. Like they say, sometimes good things fall apart so better things can come together. And that, I think, also goes with these heartbreaks. Because you never know why it happens. It just happens at that moment, but everything is done for a reason. And you never know what's going to happen later on. You just have to sit there and enjoy the ride. Although you don't know what's going to happen, you need to be okay with that. And sometimes your heart needs more time to accept something that your mind already knows, and that's inevitable. Unfortunately, heartbreaks happen, and unfortunately, relationships end. But at the end of the day, you've got to know how to handle it. You can't sit there and hope and keep a connection with someone in hopes to be friends or anything like that, because you end up hurting yourself in the long run. Maybe you want that closure. Maybe you want that last talk. But honestly, it's not necessary. Them walking out of your life is all the reason you need. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye!